Hey everyone, MrThefanboy here. I was gonna wait till WrestleMania season to do this video right here, to do this video right here, but this WrestleMania, this show pissed me off so much. I had to do it now. Since I'm really no longer watching WWE, I'll rant and review. I'll rant and review whatever show I like at pretty much any time. I'm not gonna do an annual series for an annual month or I'm not gonna do an annual series or an annual month of year. I'm gonna get on here, talk about what I want to talk about, and review what I want to review. And right now, I'm gonna rant and tear apart this very overrated, overhyped, overhyped, bland, and forgettable WrestleMania. For WWE standards, this was pretty. This was an actually pretty awesome wrestle. This was a pretty awesome wrestling show. However, I agree with OTRS is that nothing on this show was WrestleMania quality. This show did not resemble anything epic, anything badass, and did not feel like the very fabled WrestleMania, which is what the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s WrestleMania feels like. But in the 2010s, WrestleMania, regardless of if it's good or bad, always feels like a overproduced, bland, Raw and SmackDown Super Show. It doesn't resemble anything badass, epic, or cool, and that was the problem I had with WrestleMania. Was WrestleMania 31. This and Fastlane were probably, if I were to pick, were probably two of the best shows. Were probably two of the best wrestling shows this year, with Royal Rumble 2015 and SummerSlam 2015 being the most garbage shows I've ever seen. And Raw just sucked so much. I can't remember anything on Raw at the moment, man. I can't remember anything on any of the Raws because pretty much all of them were either way too long, or either went on way too long, or just plain out suck, man. And SmackDown is worth watching, and NXT sucks. And it's just the worst show of all time, man. It's most overrated and worst show of all time. But I'm already buried in NXT on here. Let's bury WrestleMania 31. I hate this WrestleMania. Like I said, I do not care how good this show was. I don't care how good this show. I don't care how good this show was. It's what it represented. Is why I despise and hate this WrestleMania. And one reason I no longer watch WWE. I can't believe I lowered my expectations enough and excuse the garbage on this pay-per-view right here. Let's start off with the very first problem I have. And the very first problem I have is actually I didn't even see this. I didn't even see this on the WrestleMania 31 I watched. I saw this in a review. I saw this in several reviews. Um, Biggie Langston, Xavier Woods, and the Brass Ring, Tyson Kidd, Cesaro, and several other tag teams like the Usos. All of these guys are featured in a fatal four-way tag team, I think, elimination match on the pre-show. Why were these guys who worked hard, who busted their butts all year, featured on the pre-show? Featured on the pre-show. Featured on the pre-show, and I agree with OTRS. I didn't even know this. I saw this in OTRS's video and several other videos where they were talking about guys like these guys featured in the mid card. I don't even care about the winner. The fact that this was featured on the pre-show and not the actual show, FWE, screw WWE for that garbage, man. Screw WWE for that garbage. Next, one thing I liked last year's WrestleMania 30, which I enjoyed, everything with the exception of the Bray Wyatt Cena match. Everything with the exception of the Bray Wyatt Cena match, I enjoyed WrestleMania 30. And one thing I enjoyed was bringing back the Andre the Giant Invitational Battle Royal from WrestleMania 2, from WrestleMania 2, and this year they feature this on the pre-show. They feature this on the They feature this on the they feature this on the pre-show. Good match. I really don't care much for Big Show winning. Good match. Once again, is featured on the pre-show. So pretty much two of the best matches of the night were featured on the pre-show. Now let's get to the main. Let's get to the let's get to the main card. Let's get to the main card. Of course, the ladder match, the Intercontinental title ladder match was good, but I agree. I agree with Off the Rope Show said this right here was just a desperate attempt to get wrestlers who should have been used better on this card. Who should have been used better on this card. This was just a match to get them this was just a match to get as many people on the card as possible, but most of these wrestlers should have been involved in bigger things. But it was an awesome match, and it was good to see Daniel Bryan win the Intercontinental Championship. The Intercontinental Championship. Then of course you got Randy Orton and Seth Rollins was a good match. Randy Orton and Seth Rollins was a good match as with of course AJ Lee pretty much AJ Lee and Paige versus the Bella Twins, John Cena and Rusev, and Undertaker and Bray Wyatt were automatically the worst matches of the night. Automatically were the worst matches of the night. These were the worst matches of the night. Undertaker, Bray Wyatt. Not only did the match between Bray Wyatt and Undertaker suck, not only did the in-ring work suck, the story between Undertaker and Bray Wyatt absolutely sucked. You have Undertaker who is okay at best. You have Undertaker who's okay at best, really overhyped as a wrestler, and you got Bray Wyatt who just sucks. Sucks. So one guy who's okay and one guy who sucks, we're not gonna really have a good match or a good feud. Bray Wyatt's entrance, which is usually good. The only thing probably good about Bray Wyatt is his entrance. It sucked because they were out. Like I said, it was like WrestleMania 9. They were outside. They were outside. Where for Undertaker and Bray Wyatt's entrances, you need to be in a building so you can turn off the lights for the cell phone thing. Like I said, and it just production values were off. Like I said, nothing epic. But I'm gonna get to that in a minute. Like I said, this match was garbage. John Cena and Rusev, garbage storyline. I only excuse this garbage storyline and match because it kept John Cena out of the main event. It kept him out of the main event. But this storyline and this feud right here was garbage. And this right here it's just the ultimate testament to how much John Cena sucks. He can't even get over with an America versus Russia Russia storyline. And like Off the Road Show said, John Cena was portrayed as the hero was portrayed as the unconquerable hero throughout this feud. There was nothing throughout this feud. He constantly got the best of Rusev, so there was really no reason to really ever get invested in this feud. So like I said, this was right here was one of the worst matches of the night. And anything the Bella Twins are involved in is the worst match of the night. And like I said, the Divas, I don't care what talented Diva they get. The Diva division is automatically buried for me for that crap they pulled with Natalia 3 years ago. And even constantly jobbing her out when she's like the best. She's the best wrestler. She's pretty much the best wrestler alive. The only wrestlers I can think that are like even close to Natalia would have to be Hamada. Would have to be Hamada from Japan. Daisy Hayes, Beth Phoenix, and pretty much Jacqueline and Molly Holly from the past. In my opinion, the only wrestlers who were even close to what Natalia was. So the fact that Natalia's not featured as your best wrestler in that crappy storyline you had her in 3 years ago, Diva division is automatically buried to me. Their matches automatically suck. Next is the match. Next is the match I hate the most. Yes, I hate those other three matches, but those other three matches, Those three matches I just mentioned, the Undertaker, Bray Wyatt match, the Cena Rusev match, and the Divas match, you know these weren't going to be good. You know these weren't going to be good. This match right here, the Triple H and Sting match. I hate this match. I don't care how good it was. And you want to talk about how good it was? You want to talk about how good the match was? Well, you want to talk about how good the match was? Like I said to YouTuber a long time ago, Sting, people like to praise Sting's performance in this match. He did nothing special. Sting nowadays is way too old. He does punches, headlocks, a Stinger splash. I think he does a drop kick now, and Scorpion Death Drop and Scorpion Deathlock. When in the past, his prime was the late 80s, early 90s. That was his prime. His prime wasn't even late WCW. Even though he was much younger and healthier then. But his prime was the late 80s, early 90s. This guy was doing press slams. Better looking drop kicks, flying head scissors, German suplex, bridging German suplexes, vertical suplexes, sit down power bombs. Did he ever do that in real life? I know it was in the video game. I know it's in the old wrestling video games. I can't remember if he ever did that in real life. But the point is, but when you compare Sting now and compare him back to his prime, he had way better matches. So shut up with that. He performed better here than he did in TNA. No, he wrestled the same exact style he wrestled in TNA. And then he say, he couldn't even hit his finisher in TNA. He never could hit his finisher right. Scorpion Deathlock always looked phony. He's not a submission wrestler. Bret Hart is the only one. Bret Hart and Owen Hart and people who trained in that dungeon are the only ones I've seen who can hit a good lock on a good sharpshooter. The Rock, all of these guys have garbage sharpshooters. Only, pretty like I said, Bret Hart and graduates of the Stu Hart dungeon, and pretty much P.D. Williams are really good wrestlers with a good sharpshooter. That's because they're good submission wrestlers. Or were trained by the Stu Hart dungeon. Sting, he can mat wrestle, but he's not a submission wrestler. He's mostly a football player and a basketball player. But like I said, so yeah, it was an awesome match, but who cared? And who cares how awesome the match was? The storyline, which WWE cares about the most. The storyline was absolutely garbage. First of all, this whole storyline was supposed to be Sting taking out the Authority. This whole storyline was supposed to be Sting pretty much playing hero, the same role he's played in TNA, taking out the evil Authority figures, and bringing professional wrestling back to Raw, bringing professional wrestling back to normal. Sting should have beat Triple H. Right here. Instead, this match transforms into a WWE versus WCW, NWO versus DX feud. Once again, wait a minute, I wanted to see that years ago when the WCW guys, particularly Booker T, Diamond Dallas Page, Lance Storm, and the rest debuted on WWE. Then, of course, later when that was over, you could have done it with that, or you could have waited till the contracts were up and brought in the other WWE stars, and then did the stupid invasion angle. I want to see that years ago. Not now. Sting even on Raw said this is not about WCW. This is about him, like I said, taking out this is about him taking out the Authority. This is about him taking out the Authority figure. So not only do I have a problem with the storyline, with the crappy storyline behind the match, I have a problem with Triple H. I have a problem with Triple H going over on Sting. Short burial of Triple H. Triple H, Triple H, Triple H is not in Sting's league, man. He's not in Sting's league. You talk about Sting, a guy who earned his way to the top, whereas Triple H, pretty much, if it wasn't for backstage politics and being married to the boss's daughter, Triple H wouldn't even be where he is in the ring. Triple H isn't the wrestler Sting is. Triple H's wrestling style, he's a mediocre worker at best. His wrestling style is a garbage version of Steiner's craft. It's the same thing as Steiner's craft, except even more garbage, even more slow paced, even more slow paced, and even more slow paced and garbage. And he's not the star Sting was. I've never heard anyone, unless you were 100% WWE sheep or WWE fanboy, I've never heard anyone say Triple H was my favorite wrestler. No one ever thought this guy was good. He was never as good as Austin The Rock. Even his buddy Shawn Michaels, who is overrated to some degree, was better than what him. At least he was a better in-ring performer than Triple H was. So Triple H, not even the star Sting was. Not even the wrestler he is, got to drop him, got to get the victory over him. Then the involvement of the NWA DX. This right here was the biggest disgrace I've ever seen. First off, you got X-Pac out here, who was part of both of these teams. You got X-Pac out here. Then, of course, Sting. Sting was associated with the NWO Red, the Wolf Pack. This was the only time they were faces. One of the only times they were, first off, this team was face, and he only joined this team. Because his best friend Lex Luger convinced him to. That is the only reason Sting joined the NWO Wolfpack. That's the only reason Sting joined the NWO Wolfpack. And of course, when they did the finger poke of doom, became one stable again, Sting left that garbage and went back to his Crow persona. He was never associated with the NWO Black and White. Come to think of it, he hid up in the rafters because his friends suspected him of being part of the NWO Black and White when it was the fake Sting. He abandoned his team at Fall Brawl 96, the War Games match at Fall Brawl 96, and constantly hid up in the rafters in 97 because WCW, his friends, didn't trust him. So to have the NWO Black and White coming out to help him, screw you, WWE, screw you, you lame, incompetent, out of touch dumbasses. Next is then this was just terrible. You had the NWO, these guys old as you know what, coming to the ring, all slow. Nash tired, holding his quad while he's in the ring. These guys coming to the ring. This was a disgrace, man. This was a disgrace and a mockery of the NWO. If you went back to WCW and saw what the NWO was about, this right here was a disgrace and was a mockery. Then the final thing, I'm stealing one from Bruce Blitz. Pretending that D-Generation X was on NWO's level. D-Generation X was nothing. D-Generation X was a fad. They were never on NWO's level. NWO was about three rebels bucking the system, changing the business. NWO, like I said, NWO was about three rebels changing the system, and this new type of bad guy, and pretty much changing the business. DX was pretty much Shawn Michaels and Triple H and their sophomoric homoerotic humor. That's what D-Generation X was. I never liked DX. I only liked the second and third incarnation, which included the New Age Outlaws and X-Pac. I've never liked DX. I've always thought they were overrated. They're nowhere near the best faction ever. The Attitude Era was awesome because of Austin and The Rock. Everyone else pretty much in the Attitude Era, no offense to any other Attitude Era wrestler, but everyone else pretty much rode Rock and Austin's coattails, man. It was those two, and of course I mentioned all the people behind the scenes, Russo, Ferrara, and what's his name, JR, who went out and signed these wrestlers. Yeah, yeah, so yeah, this match right here, yeah, fuck this match. I don't care how good it was. I don't care how good it was. Then of course you got, um, of course you got, then of course you got the next match of the night. You got the next match of the night. You got the next match of the night is then of course oh yeah, the main event, the main event of the night, which was Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. This was this was a good match. This was a good match. This was a good match. I'm glad Roman Reigns didn't win, but here's the problem I have. Here's the problem I have. Here's the problem I have. Seth Rollins' involvement in the match. Him coming out, to cash in, to cash in, him coming out to cash in the Money in the Bank. I excuse this because at least Seth Rollins got the belt, but no, I am sick of Vince McMahon. I am sick of Vince McMahon giving small wrestlers cheap wins, cheap title wins, horrible title or a horrible weak title reigns. He does this with every small wrestler. Bret Hart finally had got his revenge on Yokozuna at WrestleMania 10. At WrestleMania 10, only to drop the title. I think it was 95. Only to drop the title. Only to drop. I think it was either late '94 or early '95. Only to drop the title in late '94 or early five, and then have to go feud with Jerry the King Lawler, Isaac Yankem, and a Pirate and a Kushi. While the Click and pretty much Diesel, one of the worst champions of all time, got to have awesome matches and be in the main event. Then when Bret Hart was champion, they kept constantly, instead of promoting him, they kept constantly they kept trying to get the next big man ready instead of accepting that that audience was gone and Bret Hart was the wrestler people wanted. Bret Hart was the wrestler people wanted as champion. No, they kept trying to go to Luger. They kept trying to go to Luger, who was actually pretty cool. They kept trying to go to Luger. Then they tried to go to then they tried to go to then they kept trying to go to Mabel, who had no business being in that spot. I'm a huge Mabel fan, but he had no business right away being a world heavyweight champion. You should have kept him in a tag team. You should have kept him in a tag team where he belonged. He had no business right away going for the title. He was greedy. He almost injured Kevin Nash, man. So almost injured Diesel. So like I said, like I said, then Shawn Michaels, he only got the belt because he politicked. If he would have never politicked, he would have never been world champion. Um, X-Pac, who was massively over, never was a world champion. Never was a world champion. Then, of course, I mentioned Bill White, Eddie Guerrero. First off, if these two guys didn't use steroids, these two guys wouldn't be champion. Look, go back to WCW in their early careers. Look how small these guys were. Look how small both Guerrero and Bill White were. Look how compactly built they both were in their last years, man. In their last years. In both of their lives. They would never got the belts, even when they got the belts. Eddie Guerrero quickly lost it to JBL, and Bill White after a couple of months lost it to Randy Orton, and Bill White never regained it. And was even about to be demoted to ECW. He was happy about it, but this was a demotion. He was about to be demoted to ECW, the whole WWE's crappy version of the ECW championship. The ECW championship wasn't totally terrible, but that wasn't the ECW championship. The last ECW champion was Rhino. The last real ECW champion is Rhino. He has the belt at home with him. He was also the last TV champion, but he said that belt was stolen. That belt, that WWE's ECW title was another United States Intercontinental title. This was another brand title. It wasn't even recognized as a world title. He was demoted by that. Then before that, he was demoted by constantly being featured in the mid-card United States title wrestling scene, United States title wrestling scene, United States title wrestling scene. And of course, Eddie Guerrero, right around the time he was about to regain the belt, first off, he was on SmackDown on Thursday, wrestling for the second gold belt, and he died before he could regain that. He died before he could regain that championship. Before he could regain that championship. So WWE, even though they fought, Guerrero and Benoit finally got their moments, WWE, they quickly had them drop the belts and got it ready for the pretty much the Batista John Cena era, instead of putting the marketing machine behind these two, Benoit, Guerrero, and all. They quickly had them drop the belts to get ready for Randy Orton, John Cena, and Batista. Rey Mysterio only got the belt because Eddie Guerrero died. Eddie Guerrero died. He was huge. Mysterio was massively over, massively popular with kids, but he only got the belt because Eddie Guerrero died. Eddie Guerrero died. CM Punk, his first title reign. I remember him cashing in on Edge, and I remember it being terrible, and it's not all that memorable back in 2008. Back in 2008. Then in 2009, I think he also cashed it in. I keep forgetting who he cashed it in on, but I know he cashed it in on someone, and I think it was Hardy. I don't remember, but I remember him cashing it on someone. He feuded with Hardy over the title. Like I said, I didn't watch. I stopped watching wrestling in 2009, so I don't remember it that well. Point I'm getting at is that none of these title reigns were either clean. Then Daniel Bryan, he cashed in on the Big Show instead of manning up and waiting to WrestleMania like he said he was. Then he got buried in 18 seconds at WrestleMania. Then he finally beat who was it? John Cena for the title. Only to have Randy Orton come out. The Authority come out and I think announced an impromptu match, and Randy Orton pinned him for the belt. Then the next night on Raw, John Cena complains about his elbow. So Daniel Bryan's win over Cena wasn't clean. And I remember Daniel Bryan winning the title at WrestleMania 30, and I forgot what happened here. Because, like I said, I wasn't watching wrestling much this year. Wasn't watching wrestling much that year. So I think he lost the title. I think, yeah. So, CM Punk. First off, in the Summer of Punk angle, they destroyed CM Punk's momentum by having him job to by having Kevin Nash. First of all, bringing him back. Then SummerSlam having Kevin Nash interfere in the main event, jackknife powerbomb CM Punk, and having Del Rio pin CM Punk for the 1-2-3. Have him cash in and pin CM Punk for the 1-2-3. Then of course he loses to R-Truth and the Miz. R-Truth and the Miz. Then he loses to Triple H. And then of course he comes to TLC 2012. He comes to TLC 2011. TLC 2011 with he finally regains the title. Only after all this destruction to the CM Punk character. They turn CM Punk from a badass tweeter, anti-hero type character into a stereotypical cookie cutter babyface. John Cena 2.0. Then, of course, they start doing this PG crap with Kane and Ryder. Then, of course, they bury CM Punk in the mid-card while still featuring John Cena. Even the CM Punk Laurinaitis feud, which I was enjoying. Cena ended up getting that match in one of the worst matches of all time on the pay-per-view over the limit. That contained one of the best matches of all time. CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, one of the best matches of all time, had to play second to John Cena and Laurinaitis was the main event. And if you want to argue about that, even Wrestling Observer announced that as the worst match of all time. So pretty much what I'm getting at is every small guy who's had the belt, world title, their reigns have been terrible. You had Seth Rollins. In my opinion, Sting should have ended the Authority. Seth Rollins should have turned face, became like a tweeter. I didn't like Seth Rollins as champion back in 2010 on Ring of Honor. But he still has some awesome matches, and his character at the time, the character he was portraying was awesome. But as a tweeter, he was pretty much a tweeter, like a badass face and a tweeter type character. Then he turned heel and quit the company, But the point I'm trying to get is Seth Rollins should have turned face or tweeter and manned up and challenged Brock Lesnar, cashed in and challenged Brock Lesnar for the title, and you book it from there. Either have him go over Lesnar or have Lesnar beat him. I really don't really really don't care. Then have Roman Reigns work his way up. Have Roman Reigns work his way up. Instead, you have Seth Rollins cash in the belt here, making him look like a punk, cashing it in here. And right now, he has one of the worst title reigns of all time. I can't debate who is worse. His, John Cena's, The Miz, or Kevin Nash. I can't debate which one of these guys had the worst title reign of all time, man. Because all of them in their own ways were bad. Seth Rollins has to be the weakest, most pussiest champion of all time, man. Most pussiest champion of all time. Terrible, not good on the mic. He's not Roman Reigns bad, but he was never a good talker. He was never that good of a talker, man. So like I said, I move off the rope shows. This was not a bad WrestleMania, but this was a very bland and forgettable WrestleMania. This was not the best show of all time. This show was okay, average at best. Average at best. The venue sucked. The set design was, as usual, garbage. Why are the ring ropes white? Why are the ring ropes white instead of black or red or even blue? It felt like a Raw and SmackDown Super Show, just like WrestleMania 28. Nothing about this screamed WrestleMania quality. Nothing about this screamed WrestleMania quality. Like I said, it wasn't as bad as some of the other shows I've seen from WWE this year, particularly SummerSlam 2015, Royal Rumble 2015. But this show right here was garbage. This show right here, I can't believe I excused this crap back when I saw it for the first time. After reviewing it again and reviewing several reviews from this show was absolutely one of the worst shows of all time. All right, Doug 8798 out. Fuck WrestleMania 31. It's one of the reasons I don't even watch WWE anymore.